Right, I've just finished looking at a Cobra and a Mizuno 5-wood. So hopefully you've seen that video. And a question I asked of it was, why are we choosing? I suppose it's always the same questions that I try to ask on this channel is, are there options to make the game a little bit easier? In terms of the 5-wood, the question was, carrying kind of like, I don't know, 225 on average, and saying, well, you know, is that a great choice to be playing off the tee for most average golfers? And the answer is probably yes. So we've gone a little bit further and we've gone into the 3-wood stakes now, and I'm going to look at the TaylorMade SiM Max product. So it's a SiM 2 Max product, and again, Callaway's option, which is the Epic Max. They're both aimed at the same type of golfer, and that's a little bit of draw bias in terms of its weighting, but also very much help and assistance with launching the ball and getting it airborne, but then not losing out in terms of ball speed. So that's what we're going to put to the test. And again, asking that question is, are these realistically driver replacements for most average golfers out there? Now, this is very much a head-to-head, and in terms of one of the things you will consider if you've got these two on the list is visuals, and they're very, very different. That's why I've pitched them up against one another. That sort of, I always call it a sort of motorsport crown. That checkered flag that you see on the SiM is, I think, really good at addressing that pale grey line. Nice and easy to sort of frame the ball, presents the club very nice at address. Very much different on the Epic, that high gloss finish again, and we've seen it time and time again. There's nothing new in either of these two models that we haven't seen in previous models. So that is very much a personal preference. And again, even at address, I would say that the Epic Max is it's almost like squashed down and stretched out, elongated, whereas the SiM Max product is a more traditional sort of teardrop shape. So once again, already two very, very different looks at address that you must decide which is more suitable on your eye. Right, so in today's video we're going to be at the Sea Island Plantation course. We've picked a nice par 4 with waterfall down the left and trees down the right. So the type of club, the type of hole rather, you'd choose this type of club perhaps. I think the idea with 3-wood, 5-wood is a great choice where you've got shorter shaft and driver, perhaps a bit more control, and like I said, this is a typical type of hole you'd want to choose it from. We're going to hit from the tee, slightly raised tee, and as I've already said, this is a real, I think you're going to have, some of you will like the way this club looks, others won't. I think it's got a bit of Marmite about it, and like I said, it's very much squashed down, very much of a flat profile. And the other thing I would say, which is very noticeable, is the kind of offset. I said this is a draw bias club, but I just feel as though I'm sort of aiming down that left-hand side at address, a little bit weird. I'll see if we can record and pick up a bit of audio, sound-wise, off the club face. So, half-decent strike, fairly crisp, I would say, the ear off the Epic Max. I think just typical Callaway, like I said, in recent iterations of these clubs, I think they've had a good sound where there's that heavy, nice mix and blend of like a powerful zip off the face, which hopefully you picked up on, but also something that's soft and responsive, gives you some feedback back in the hands. I'm going to switch over and hit straight away into the TaylorMade product. Different altogether address, like I said, a lot more raised in terms of, or normal I would say, in terms of 3-wood profile. It's got this great shape, and I've got to say that between the two I'd much prefer this stud at address. Both got 60 gram shaft in these. This is a Fujikura, and I think we had a hazardous smoke in this, by the way, but both 60 grams stiff. But yes, differences again in terms of the shafts that are in there. I just like this better at address all round, that grey line, the way the club head is squared. I don't feel it shut off to that left hand side, which I did with that Epic. So all round for me, from a visual perspective, I'd rather look down on this. And again, let's just see if we can pick up some audio. I'll pull that shot a little bit down the left, but again, this is a more harsh sound. It's more of a crack off the face. I wouldn't describe it as soft. So it's very much like I said, and hopefully you picked that up, it's just a crack that you hear, and I think that it was that loud there that perhaps even with the microphone pinned up on me up high, you'll still get to notice that difference between the two. Because you know what's coming at the end of all this? I'm going to say something like these clubs are both fantastic, because the reality is when you're testing clubs right now, you're splitting, it's fine hairs in terms of margins, and it's about what you like and what you don't like. And all I try to highlight is the differences between these products, and then it's up to you, your personal preferences as to why you might buy one over the other. these, I'll throw up first of all the dispersion charts of what is the collective data for the shared amount, and you'll see the reason I put this together is because there's balls all over the place and quite a lot have been hit, but essentially that is the spread that I would expect to see from my kind of performance. We've got some leagues left, some right, but we have got a fair few down that middle as well. So into data, I'll start with the we'll start with the Max product from Callaway first of all. And if I'm honest with you, pretty much what I saw in terms of my performance visually is bore out in the numbers. 221 carry, 3.5 spin, 14.9 launch, 105 peak height. And the things that are in there are the 3,500 spin. It was definitely spinning a bit. You could see that, and it was kind of hovering a little bit, launching at almost 15 degrees again, quite a high launching club. And again, that peak height at 105, like I said, it was in orbit, and that was very noticeable. And then if I throw into the mix the numbers for the SiM 2 from TaylorMade, you'll see the differences. Ball speed up by sort of almost 3 miles an hour. 3.1 spin, 227 carry, 13.2 launch, 92 peak height. And then that suggested overall difference is almost, well, it's 10 yards of difference. But these were so different in terms of how they performed based on launch and spin. And they were very visibly different. One was a flatter ball flight. So I would say at this stage, it would really depend on what you're looking for in terms of performance. The Max was by far, whether it was the easiest to launch, but it was certainly the higher launch. And don't forget, these clubs are both lofted at exactly the same in terms of their loft. So very different in terms of the numbers at this stage. Just like the loft is the same, isn't it? But if I've said it wrong, it doesn't matter. Right, so as ever, before we go any further, like your feedback, who is considering buying either of these models? And maybe you've already got the chance to try them. I'd be interested in your feedback, and don't forget, by commenting down below, your fellow golfers get to read those comments and get more of a better guide and a more subjective guide than just my opinion. So happily throw those comments in down below. Another thing to mention as well, because I've just noticed our little sign is strategically placed in the background there. At 4Golf, if you are considering buying any of these clubs, any club for that matter, considering joining the Average Golfers Club, which I'll throw a link in the description below. But the simple fact is, if you're thinking of buying any of those golf clubs right now, you save 10% off of the price. Simple and as straightforward as that. So make sure you go and check that out as well. Right, it's time for a bit of a par 3 challenge, I think. Right, it's been a fair old long day of testing actually, and I'm wilting a little bit, and I think that's been reflective of my swings in this video, but we're going to try and raise it just a little bit for this last challenge. We picked the 18th hole at this Sea Island Plantation course, and it is again typically a position where you might find yourself in. Par 5, second shot in, we've got 230. You can see that is quite a bit of water between where I'm sat in the fairway. It's probably, again, I think if you were playing in a medal, you'd be chipping a 7-iron down the fairway, but for the sake of this, we're going to be going to what is effectively an island green on this line. Right, so it's going to need very much the best dig we've got or had so far from the Epic. We're going to start things off. Right, come on. Oh, it is a really good knock, you know. I just don't know whether that's going to be too far down the left and not cutting back enough. Move ball. Go. 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 Oh, how close was that? 217 carry and literally coming in on the flag. Wow. This is, if we get one ball on the green in these 4 shots, we'll have done well. But that was a great start, even though we ended up in the drink. Oh, that's got to be the one. That's got more yardage in it, and it's a better line. Slightly safer line, but surely, come on, this has got to carry. Carry ball. Don't do it again. Carry, carry, carry. Oh my God. Well, we've stayed above ground, but they are right at the flag. Wow. I can't believe that's come up short. It's interesting throughout the whole, as you've seen now from the data, it's interesting that the Max product just goes into orbit. Probably spins a little bit too high for me, and flight's a bit too high, and the carry just isn't quite there. So based on flight and carry, we've got more of a chance with the SiM product. but they were as good as I've got in terms of the last 2 strikes. No, that's pulled down the left. Try to hoik that one, and that's definitely in the water. That's got no cut. It's got the yardage as well. Look at that, forced it. That's 223 carry. Right, we know it's in there, and we know we've got the carry. You just don't need to force it like that last one. Come on. Last shot of the day. Can we come off with a good one? Yeah, we could have. Does that cut too much now? Come on, ball. Be right. We've got to get 1 ball on this bloody green. Go. 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 Yes. That is bang on. 221 carry. Just about held on the back end, and on that basis I think it demonstrated, like I said throughout the video, what I've seen is that for whatever reason, mainly based on ball flight I would say, from what I've certainly seen here, the SiM Max 2 just has a stronger ball flight. I've definitely got more in terms of yardage, carry out of it, and that was shown again in that last test at the end. I think overall, you know, the summary would be there are very much differences between these 2 products. They're both Max in their name, but in terms of what they do into performance-wise, in my hands at least, they're very, very different. So the old story would always be go and test these things out for yourself and find out those differences in your hands. Right, as ever, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We're still finding our way with TrackMan and trying to make these things as entertaining as possible, and now we're getting to a stage where we're allowed back out on the courses. We'll integrate the on-course stuff as well, so hang on in there, keep commenting down below, keep hitting that like button if indeed that's what you do, and keep subscribing, and I will see you soon. As you can see, I'm a bit out of breath.